Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by WeUni in partnership with Emmanuel College. My name is Federica. Nice to meet you all, and I'll be your host for today's event on behalf of WeUni. I see here that the first people are already starting to join in, so we're gonna wait just a few seconds before starting to allow everyone to connect. In the meantime, feel free to say hi on our chat here on Zoom, and please tell us where are you from. We are so curious. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us and thank our panelists for being here with us today. As you can see here, I'm not alone, and I want to introduce you all to Sarah Lil, Coordinator of International Student Engagement, and Petros Bambakas, PhD and Director of Institute of Eastern Mediterranean Studies and Associate Professor of the Department of Political Science and International Studies. So welcome, it's a pleasure to have you here. With these two international leadership experts, you will have the possibility to learn 5 fundamental secrets to gaining experience, confidence, a global vision, and the ability to take action as a real leader. You'll discover how some of today's most influential leaders started their journey before even becoming adults, and how you can do the same. You also have the possibility to interact with our speakers and ask them questions. So today is a really great occasion since we have 3 students with us. We have the testimonial of them. And so talking about that, I like to remind you that after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session where you will be able to ask direct questions to the panelists. So don't be shy and just type all type of question that pop ups in your mind. And we'll go through them at the end of this webinar. So also for those of you interested in receiving a certificate of attendance by WeUni for this free masterclass, stay tuned because we will post the link to get the certificate at the end of the session. So I think that we are able to start now. Welcome to those who just joined us. And without further ado, I'm now leaving the floor to our panelists for their presentation. Enjoy this webinar and see you later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, Leo, like she said, and I'm the coordinator of Students Engagement at Emmanuel College in Boston. I'm really excited to be here to present with you and share these 5 secrets to becoming a global leader before you turn 18. So let me share with you the presentation. Okay, so this session will be all about helping you discover how you can build your leadership skills, gain global experiences, and take action starting right now as a high school student. So, why do you think the world needs young leaders now? Have you ever felt like the world is facing big challenges and wonder what someone your age could actually do about it? Well, you're not alone, because here's the truth. From climate change to tech innovation, from mental health to global inequality, the problems we face today are not waiting for tomorrow adults to solve them. As you've seen, the world is changing faster than ever, and it's looking desperately for leaders who are bold, creative, and globally minded right now. Let me share with you a quick fact. Did you know that over 60% of the world's population is under the age of 30? That means your generation are the biggest and most powerful force on the planet today, and your voice matters more than ever. We're already seeing the impact of young people stepping up. In Sweden, Greta Thunberg started a global climate movement, and she was just 15 years old. In the United States, Gitanji Rao was named Times Kid of the Year at 15 for her scientific innovations tackling water contamination, cyberbullying, and opioid addiction. In Mexico, Julian Rios Cantú was 18 when he invented a smart bra that helped detect breast cancer after his mom's diagnosis. These aren't future leaders. They are leading now. So there's some other examples of leaders that their faces might be familiar. So if you ever thought, I want to make a difference, but I'm too young. Let me tell you, leadership isn't about waiting until you're older. It's about taking action now, where you are, with what you have. And that's exactly what today's webinar is about. We're going to walk you through 5 powerful secrets that young people around the world are using to start their leadership journey today, and how you can do the same before you turn 18. I'm very honored to introduce to our special guest, Professor Petros Bambacas. He's the director of the Institute of Eastern Mediterranean Studies and associate professor of the Department of Political Science and International Studies at Emmanuel College. He'll walk us through the first 3 secrets of global leadership. Hello.
Yes, well, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are on the planet. I'm very honored to be here, and very honored to share some of the ideas, and hopefully they are secrets, but I think they're right there on the surface, and we sort of like sometimes we lose track of them, and we have been dealing with this sort of like discussion for some time, the issue of nature versus nurture, and to what extent, we're predisposed to have a mindset in one certain way. And I think studies show that, yes, we have some kind of abilities, and we have things that we are born with, but we also there are many things that we can do to really generate in us and around us all kinds of interest. So I will talk a little bit about the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset idea, something that's sort of like in front of us all the time, and the language of the day. And I would say that young people today have a special challenge, because they do live in a world that's very much information based, and sometimes I talk about over information and under education, and I think that also speaks to the mindset that we come in with, and sort of like the challenges that we have to address in order for us to get us out of our mindset of this fixed mindset that we have of constantly thinking that we know everything. We can't be moved from the space that we're in. We shouldn't accept challenges. The challenges are sort of like a threat to us, and we can only do that by really honing in on some skill sets that are there for us. So we can use the age of information and technology to not necessarily put us in this over information space, but actually to allow us to spread our wings, if you wish, a little bit, and to really take the mindset of avoiding challenges and actually look at challenges as opportunities, not necessarily look at any criticism or feedback as we get as criticism, but actually look at it as a building block. Focus on providing things for others rather than just providing things for yourself. I think this is one of those things that young leaders really create, and some of us are born with it. Some of us we have to cultivate it. Look at others' success. Sarah pointed out to some successful people. Don't look at them as sort of like being threatened by them, but look at them for inspiration. Accept failure as a building block rather than look at failure as a detriment to where you're going, or some kind of a challenge to pride. Don't shy away from unfamiliar. I think this is one of the biggest sort of challenges that we're facing today, in the fact that we are very comfortable in the spaces that we create and the spaces that we're in, and try to step outside of our comfort zone. And last, I would say, look at things as a dynamic process rather than a constant static process. A lot of times we tend to see the world around us, especially young people, and think that the world has always been like this, and it's not. The world is a very dynamic place, and I think being young is also affords the world the sensitivity and the antennae to see the world with a very fresh look, very, very fresh eyes, and that's very, very important. I think there is a space there that young people have that really need to take advantage of it. Whether it's issues of environment, issues of justice, issues of equality, issues of, technological advancement. A lot of ideas that are really in the forefront today came from young people from a generation or two ago. So this is the space. Leadership starts with how you think. And I think the very first thing that you have to do is sort of like change that mindset and not necessarily look at nature as being something that's the way things are and I can't change it. There is a lot of nurturing that also takes place, and I think that is the space for growth. And one last thing on this, I would say, is that the more you challenge yourself, the more comfortable you become, the more you see the possibilities. The less comfortable you are, the less comfortable you are being challenged, the more you retreat and the more phobic you become and more entrenched. So I think it's one of those things that it sounds counterintuitive, but it actually works as the steps really get elevated. So the next slide, Sarah, if you could. This is an important one, and it builds on the previous one. In order for us to really have confidence and have our voice, which is a very important skill set that a lot of us sort of like miss out on, is we need to have content, and with content comes confidence. And then there's a discovery of our own voice. There is a very small percentage of people that really have a self-assuredness of what they say. And sometimes I have to tell you, I've been a teacher for over 25 years. Sometimes you have a lot of people that don't say anything. They are afraid to speak, but they have a lot of knowledge. But they haven't been comfortable with the challenge of being out there, and they tend not to say anything. And then you have very few people that say a lot of things, and sometimes they shouldn't. I would rather, have the former than the latter. And I think what it's very, very important is you need to have the content and the information. And this is a process. It's a process, and it's not something that happens automatically. There's the term pedagogy, which means, the whole idea of being challenged to learn something. In order for you to make something your own, you have to constantly go through the process and not necessarily expect things to light up in front of you. And sort of like this second secret, if you wish, this power of communication and negotiation. With me, it starts with the previous one, being able to open up and challenge yourself, being open to information, and then also be able to distinguish between information and opinion. A lot of times when we hear things today, we tend to hear opinions and we tend to repeat opinions. But having information allows you the confidence to give your own opinion and to challenge opinions, which becomes very, very important as a building block. You need to have the ability to speak with confidence, and you need to have the ability to find your voice in the public sphere. Once you find your voice in the public sphere, then you would see that another door unlocks, and the door that unlocks is that door of negotiation, of dialogue, of sort of like conversation, of the back and forth. And this is where the learning process begins. And not only the learning process, the leadership process, because leaders are built not on the ability to sort of like dictate, but leaders are built on the idea of taking in information and being able to hear information and able to negotiate what you think as far as the direction, the strategic goals, the strategic depth, and the ability to have consent from everybody else to go this way, or to have the requisite trust that it takes for people to trust you with the decision that they might not agree with, but your track record and your depth of information and knowledge allows you to get to. And that's why I think that this second one is very, very important in the power of communication and negotiation. But communication comes from information. Communication comes from confidence. Communication comes from public speaking. Communication comes from the ability to find yourself in not comfortable zones that become your new comfort zones. And then the second piece, negotiation. We have to be open to negotiation. We have to understand that things are a give and take. And sometimes we fall in the fallacy of thinking that if I get my way, then it makes me a great leader or it makes me, powerful. Those conditions don't exist for very long. You might have a sort of like a short-term process, but in the long term, they tend to fail. Real leaders are built on this idea of knowledge, confidence, communication, and ultimately negotiation. And success in negotiation is a twofold process for me. It is about listening, and it is about persuasion as well. The ability to sort of like listen and the ability to, if you don't always get your way, to persuade enough people and to also have the trust of a large number of people to be able to move you to the direction that you want to go. Leaders are usually the ones that sort of like have a strategic goal in mind, not necessarily just managers of managing people. So in order for you to develop that, I think that's this second secret, if you wish, is very, very important and very fundamental. So. Oh, this is, I teach international relations. So this is sort of like, the kind of a thing that not only do I teach, but I believe in very much. I think we live in a world that's very much globalized, but at the same time, we're experiencing all kinds of forces that are tend to put us in a more sort of like communitarian sense. And there is a great deal of challenges that come with it. Sometimes we're phobic, we're afraid of the world around us. But all the challenges of the 21st century are global challenges. None of the challenges of the 21st century can be solved just by our community. Our communities are important. Our communities become our roots. Our communities become our base of building, of a major building block. But we have to learn to think globally, and we have to learn to really appreciate the other in a global sense. Whether we're talking about pandemics, whether we're talking about immigration, whether we're talking about food crisis, whether we're talking about security challenges, whether we're talking about sustainable living, whether we're talking about human rights. These are all global challenges, and they're global challenges because they can only be solved globally. So if we have that as a knowledge base, and if we understand that, then we also gear our direction in that way, in that, act locally, as people say, but constantly think and globally. And there are two things to that, I think, that are very, very important. One is there's nothing like the physical presence. And that's why a place like Boston becomes very, very important. This is such a hub of all kinds of communication, all kinds of negotiation, all kinds of trade, politics, economics, science. But this is a hub of, where people come together from different places and challenge each other fundamentally. And in that way, I think I'm a firm believer of this idea of like, students moving across the globe, finding out from each other, learning from each other, tasting the food of different places, speaking the languages of different people, because there's nothing like the ability to understand the global village that we're all a part of. And in that sense, you can take the first two steps that I spoke of, or secrets, and really tie them here. Because if you understand and feel and hear the music, the sounds, the food, the culture, the politics, the economics of the other, then you're able to have something in common, which is also builds trust. And with trust, it also builds the requisites for dialogue, democracy, diplomacy. All three things are things that sort of like our building blocks about our global world today. And, we read the news, you see the papers, you're seeing the challenges that we all face, our own sort of like sensibilities, our own fears. And that's where strong leadership is needed, and leadership that is trusted, and leadership that can persuade, and leadership that can find common ground. So the issue of diplomacy and international collaboration for me are paramount, despite the fact that sometimes those become, very difficult to navigate. They require a great deal of stamina. They are very frustrating. They take a great deal of time, but that's what leadership is. Leadership is there to see people through those difficult times, through those difficult negotiations, to have the stamina that's needed to see people through and to really build a vision and share a vision. And that's the opportunity that's presented for especially young people, because as I said earlier, young people have something that older generations don't have. They have the fresh eyes, and they also have that clean mind to be able to see things that some of us can't see. So confidence, voice, public speaking, thinking globally, and being able to understand the other, to be able to feel the other, to hear their music, to read their prose, to taste their food. And then you can also understand what makes them work, and and how you trust each other on that process. And then, as I mentioned earlier, dialogue, democracy, diplomacy, to me, they're all sort of like building blocks to that. Personally, I have been involved here at Emmanuel College, director of the Model UN Club for over 20 years now. And I think it's one of the best experiences ever. Not because all the time, we sort of like, strive to duplicate exactly what's going on in the United Nations. The skill set is exactly the same. You can see the leadership in those teams of students rise up, and you can see the growth along the way. To me, this is the ultimate in real world application of diplomatic skills. And these are skills that are useful everywhere, from the dinner table with your relatives and friends, to the classroom, to a business meeting, to a negotiation of more complex things, to solving some border dispute in the future. It's the same kind of a skill set. It's the ability to constantly think globally, constantly to think normative, constantly to use dialogue, diplomacy, and democracy and diplomacy in that order, in order for you to get things done, and to also have the necessary stamina and vision to see it through.
Thank you, Professor Petras. Okay, so I'm gonna continue with the next two and last two secrets. So for secret number 4, I'll share with you a personal story, and I think you'll find out the secret on your own. When I was in 11th grade, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Switzerland for a year. During Easter break, the school closed for 2 weeks. Most of the students were going on a trip, but that wasn't a financial option for my parents. So they arranged for me to stay with a host family in Biarritz, France. It was gonna be my first time ever traveling completely alone. I had traveled before with friends, school groups, or chaperones, but this time it was just me. And during my layover in Paris, there was a strike. Flights were getting canceled. I was 16 years old, in a foreign country with a different language, trying to figure out what to do. I spoke with the airline staff, explained what was happening, and asked for help. They told me that because I was a minor, they would try to get me on the next flight, but they couldn't guarantee it. In the end, I made it. I arrived safely to Biarritz, and I realized something. Everything always works out in the end. That moment changed my life forever. It unlocked my fear of traveling alone and opened my perspective in a way I never imagined. It showed me how a single moment of challenge can teach you so much and open so many doors. It gave me a kind of confidence that you don't get from a classroom. And it taught me that when you ask for help, stay calm and look for solutions, you always find a way. So, why am I telling you this? Because leadership isn't just about speaking in public or leading a team. Leadership is navigating the unexpected, stepping outside of your comfort zone, building independence and discovering who you are, taking action even when you're afraid. Nothing teaches this faster than being in a new country, speaking a new language, getting to know people from different cultures, and figuring out things on your own. And that's what exactly secret number 4 is about. The advantage of studying and experiencing the world. So here's your takeaway for secret number 4. You don't just study the world, you experience it. And when you do, you grow in a kind of leader the world actually needs. And the final secret is the fast track to leadership is taking action now. Action changes things. A lot of people think that they need to wait until when I'm older, or they say when I get to college, or when I have more experience. So the truth is that the best leaders, they started before they felt ready. They raised their hand, they joined that club, they booked that flight, they applied to that opportunity, even if it scared them. Why? Because leadership isn't about waiting. It's about making the most of the moment you're in right now. So what can you do? You can start that small project in your school. You can help in your community. You can practice public speaking, join a debate team, or take something outside that pushes you outside of your comfort zone. Leadership is not a future title. It's a present mindset, as Professor Petros was saying. It's about taking initiative, owning your voice, and stepping into challenges with courage. And if you're really serious about becoming a global leader before 18, there's something else. You surround yourself with people who challenge and inspires you. You invest in your growth. You say yes to new places, new people, and new perspectives. Leaders don't wait. Leaders take action, and they start young. And if you're ready to take the next step, let me show you an opportunity that brings everything we've talked about to life. It's called Leaders of Tomorrow Summer Program. I'm inviting you to join us to a 3-week immersive experience right here in Boston at Emmanuel College. You'll live on a real campus, meet students from all over the world, dive deep into leadership, diplomacy, public speaking, and global issues, all while improving your English and building international friendships. It's more than just a summer camp. It's a chance to explore your potential and prepare for the world ahead. What's included? You'll participate in Model UN simulations, learn how to speak with confidence, and take ESL classes that will boost your communication in global settings. On the weekends, you'll go to amazing excursions. We visit New York City, Harvard University, Six Flags, and some of the most iconic places in Boston. And of course, there's time for fun. You'll go to a Red Sox game at the Fenway Park or go kayaking in the Charles River. Explore museums and connect with your students from all over the world. The program includes your housing, meals, insurance, and transportation, and all of this is for $7,200 USD. how can you join to this summer program? You can scan this QR code in the screen to apply. The program is from July 26 to August 16, and the application deadline is May 10. So if you're interested, now is the time to take action. You will need a valid US tourist visa for this program. This is your chance to live what we talked about today. To not just learn about leadership, but experience it. If something from today's session inspired you, don't let it stay in a thought. Take action. We'll love to see you in Boston. So if right now you have any questions or something that you would like to share, any experiences, we're open here to read in the chat.
Hello. Hello again, everyone. First of all, I want to thank our panelists for this accurate presentation. And I see that we already have some questions from the participants. So I'd like to remind you that there is still time to ask questions. So if you want, you can write them in the Q&A box. So I'd say that we can start with the first one. That is, hi, thanks for this webinar. Do you think that these skills will change with newest artificial intelligence tool? Are you against using them?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the question. No, I think the skill sets will be the same and they have been the same. Sometimes they become more difficult now because, we've in the fallacy of thinking that having information is just the solution. And I'm not against artificial intelligence and using it as a tool, but I cannot become tool of that. So I think it's the other way around. I mean, we have to maximize the tools that we have, and I think we should use artificial intelligence, but the skill set that we spoke of, the whole idea of the mindset that you need to develop, it's the same. It's going to have to be the same mindset. I think it's going to be somewhat challenging for younger people to get out of their comfort zone because our comfort zones now are very comfortable, to say the least. You still have to find your voice. You still have to bring more information, and regardless of where it comes from, and there's nothing about like human ingenuity and the leadership that it's going to require to do so. I think in fact we will need more leadership rather than less, and the skill sets will always be in demand.
Excellent, thank you. And the second one is, how hard is to get admitted to Emmanuel College? Do you support students with visa?
Yes, we support the students with the F1 visa. We help you through all the process. And how hard is to get admitted, depending on the time that you apply. We suggest to apply as soon as possible, depending on the grade that you're in. But we have an 81% of acceptance rate. So you're welcome to apply. If you want to apply, there's the link, www.emmanuel.edu/international. And if you have any questions, you can ask also in the emails.
Thank you. And now, can you get in contact with some students? And to apply to this program, do you need some specific skills?
The specific skills is taking action now. So if you want to apply, that's like wanting to go to the summer program. And also, what we required a tourist visa. And to get in contact, if you send us an email, I'll be happy to reply and to answer any other questions that you might have of the summer program. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, we also have one question that is, do you have a dormitory on campus?
Yes, we do have.
Perfect. And now,
I think that's part of the attraction too, right? The attraction is that this is for people who haven't been to Boston, I welcome everybody to come to Boston. Emmanuel College has, it's a nice little area in the front of in the middle of Boston with its own dormitories and its own sort of like community structure. So everybody that's part of the program will be part of that same cohort and actually living together and studying together. And that's a big part of those leadership qualities that are brought out. I mean, we have them. It's just a matter of bringing them out. So the skills that the students have or the participants are asking for, they exist in all of you. It's just a matter of bringing them forward.
Excellent. Perfect, and thank you. Another question. If the people around us are uninterested in change and effort go unnoticed, how could we take action? Like, for example, how could we create a group or engage with people, communicate?
Well, those things are processes, and persistence always wins. I think we sometimes, when the world is changing or we see the world around us, which is not to our liking, we just get disappointed. I think that's part of the leadership vision, um, the ability to see into the future and to be able to carry people through. Especially, in American politics, in European politics, we see this all the time. We see it across the globe. We see it throughout Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America. All those struggles for independence, all those things that really have carried us through. Those were long struggles and strong leaders that persuaded enough people, and people trusted them to see it through. So this is nothing new. I mean, we've seen changes in this country, in the United States, and we're seeing what's happening in Europe and across the globe. So I think it's a matter of developing the skill set of the vision and enough people around you to move the ball forward and having that positive attitude. Nothing changes overnight. None of the changes that we're seeing right now in the world have happened overnight.
Yes, I
Yes.
think also persistency. Like Greta Thunberg, that she was constantly going outside of the parliament asking for the climate change. Also, we've heard a lot of the other day. I was talking to my friends and we were saying like, oh, J.K. Rowling, they told her that her stories were not gonna succeed, and right now everyone is a fan of Harry Potter. Or Oprah, Walt Disney, they told him that he didn't have imagination, and Disney, everyone knows Disney. So all those people that inspire us, that they started and they told them, no, you're not gonna do you're not gonna change the world, and they change the world.
Yeah, those are beautiful words. And another question. Can anyone apply for the program or only who attended the presentation?
Anyone can apply to the program if they're high school students.
Perfect.
You can tell your friends, and we will be happy to send them information and they can join us.
Perfect. And how hard is to get used to a different culture, and how classes are different from other university in Europe?
Well, it depends on the university. First of all, the classes. I mean, the classroom space. I think they're fairly similar. I've taught in European places as well, and it's fairly similar as far as the classroom and how the classroom is conducted. As far as the adjustment is concerned, again, I think there will be an adjustment. I think that is a positive thing to see the adjustment. We run a similar program in reverse in Greece. I've run it since 2012. And the stages to the adjustment, the first stage is, that everybody's really enamored with the new place. And the second stage is sort of like, a little homesickness. And maybe some people are just, not necessarily feeling comfortable. The third stage is when, people realize how intensive and how rewarding this whole experience has been. And it just becomes part of a completely different experience. And the ultimate to this is the confidence that you get at the end of the 3 weeks that is not necessarily appreciated right now. And I've seen it repeated throughout. So I would highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Yes, the
And
cultural adjustment is a challenge, but it's worth it.
Mm.
perfect. And what are the most common leadership mistakes that new leaders make?
Arrogance. I think the hubris and arrogance. Young leaders or new leaders are like what I call the Icarus effect. It comes from Greek antiquity when Icarus puts his wings on and he flies close to the sun and he falls down. And I think that that's the biggest mistake. Not only young leaders, leaders throughout. I think you just sort of have to have a measured approach. And again, if the more grounded you are in others, the better you are as a leader. The listener part and the persuasion part are very important keys.
Thank you. Another question. How do you balance being empathetic and assertive as a leader?
Well, I think that's a skill set you develop. And the more you speak to people, the more you associate with others, the more you find out that there's no major difference in humanity. Whether we're in La Paz, Bolivia, or Athens, Greece, or Torino, Italy, or um, Mexico City, Mexico, or Boston today, people are the same. And I think that's where the first step in empathy is. And then again, if you have the confidence of and a vision that is shared, then you can also be assertive in that vision without necessarily being aggressive and imposing in the vision. And there's a fine line there between authoritarianism and democracy. Dialogue, democracy, diplomacy.
Thank you. Another question is about specific classes on public speaking.
Well, during the summer, yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, this particular program has that public speaking component as part of it. The Model UN exercise that we're going to do is a 3-week exercise we're going to be building up, and that's going to be public speaking throughout. So it's infused in the classroom. And, to answer the previous question, one of the major differences, I think, between the American pedagogical style and the European pedagogical style is that it's very interactive. People are, interactive in class. They do, they're asked to participate. In Europe, in a lot of places, students just listen, and in some places, as I know in Greece, for instance, attendance is not mandatory. That's not the American system. The American system is a teaching, mentoring, pedagogical style. So getting to know each other, getting to hear your voice with each other is a big part of the classroom experience.
Thank you so much. Sarah,
Yes,
do you want to add? Yeah.
Yes, we're having classes like leadership and diplomacy skills, model UN simulations, negotiation and public speaking workshops, and global issues and conflict resolution training. That's part of the program. And additional is the English as a second language that will help you to prepare your essays to apply to universities in United States.
Thank you so much. Another question. How do you define effective leadership in today's rapidly changing world?
That's a great question. Effective leadership can only be measured over time. So, we can have people move us in different directions. I think effective leadership is the one that's it's built in the long term and assessed in the long term. And sometimes, we confuse popular leadership with effective leadership, and that's not always the case. The most effective leadership is the one that sort of like over time endures times pressures, and also looks, at the common good overall rather than just a very narrow perspective. Always looking at that growth mind rather than the very the mind that's sort of like the fixed mindset.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Next question. Do you think it's easier to lead if you have a role that is accepted by other? Because I have the feeling of being out of my role if I speak up. Thank you.
Well, I think, I think that's what this program is looking at. The fact that, we tend to think that we're outside of the common wave, if you wish, or the common thread. And that's not always the case. The more we hear those voices, the more we find in our polity, in our society, that there are similar voices. The person that's confident and is a leader and steps forward and voices an opinion will find others who agree with him or her. And that's the importance also of public speaking. It's not just voicing your own opinion, but finding also allies within the society. And you'd be surprised. You're not alone. There are many of people that feel this way, and also it gives you that confidence to move forward. So it's a mutually influencing relationship that exists. So the more information, the more confidence, the more public speaking, the more allies, the greater the power.
Yes, I recommend you also to surround yourself of people with people that think your way. And also right now that we know social media is something really big, like following those people that like think like you think helps too.
Perfect. And next question is really interesting because is can anyone become a leader, or is leadership an inborn trait?
I think there's some people that have charisma, and charismatic leadership is there. Charisma is something that, that's bestowed by, a divine structure, whether we're born or not with it. Charismatic leadership, though, can lead to problems because charismatic leadership can also have that quotient of arrogance. It's actually, sometimes I tell students this, that they have the curse of the potential. Sometimes when we think of ourselves as, having all the skill sets already, then we tend to become more comfortable and lazy. And I think, leaders are the ones that also can come from people that are really know how to challenge themselves, find those discomfort zones, and grow themselves. And that growth in themselves is translated to the people around them. Leadership is one of those skill sets that you have to work at. And I think people that have charisma um, have to work on it even harder because they have to overcome their charisma sometimes.
Thank you. Another question. What advice would you give to someone leading a remote or hybrid team for the first time?
Uh, the biggest challenge is to know each other. And that's why I like the face-to-face interactions. I push for that in my classrooms. I think those private associations that we make create a level of trust among us. It's almost a social collateral that we need. One of the challenges that we have globally right now is our social media, because we tend to be very insular and very isolated and create silos around us. And sometimes, we have a sounding board. So I think one of the things about that we have to really work on is to find out those personal things about us, even on this panel, to find out like little stories about each other that would really lower the guard and allow us to sort of like, trust in each other. I'm a firm believer of that. And I think that's where, even going back to that previous question or the very first question about the AI, I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to have to overcome to really make those bridges necessary, despite the comfort of saying AI is going to think for us. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Perfect. And thank you. Next question. What's the toughest leadership challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the toughest leadership challenge is I'm in the chair of the faculty senate here at Emmanuel College. We have over 120 faculty. And if you know anything about administrators or academics, professors, we are all very sure of ourselves, and having to lead colleagues sometimes becomes very difficult. So you have to to put into practice the things that you try to teach your students as well. And I think the biggest challenge is to have the patience to and the open ears to listen, because sometimes we just lose patience. So I think that's the biggest challenge, and try to be as patient as possible.
Thank you. And Sarah, you
Yes,
can, yeah.
I think I was thinking of one. I've been like a leader of missions and teacher and groups, and I think one of the biggest challenge is delegate and build other leaders, like trusting other people, because sometimes, like Professor Petros said, like you can be arrogant and saying like, "Oh, I can do things better," so that's a challenge. You can trust people. You can also share your skills with other people and build other leaders. And sometimes your students can do things better than you do. So that's a challenge, but it's worth it. Like to face that challenge and train people. And then also it's easier for you like to don't try to do everything by yourself.
Thank you. And if you want to answer the next question, that is, for this leader program, do you offer any scholarship?
We don't have scholarships, but we have a group discount. If there's more than 5 people in one group from one school or one city or group of friends, we offer a 10% discount.
Okay, perfect. And the next one is, Sarah, can you suggest some account to follow or newsletter to sign up?
Yes, I think that right now you can see in the screen. I was gonna tell you this at the end. So everyone follow our Instagram account. That it's follow us on Instagram. It's EC/international students on Instagram. Also, all the information is in our webpage. But if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to ask in my email.
Perfect.
It's
And thank you.
Leon S.
And next question is, in your experience, what's more important, vision or execution?
Great question. I think you need both. See, execution is a manager, vision is a leader. A manager cannot be a leader, but a leader can be a manager. And especially if a leader realizes that he or she doesn't have to do everything by themselves. So I would go with the vision over the execution if I had to choose one. I think both of them are necessary, but there is a big debate between the manager and the leader. Sometimes when we rely just on institutions, we're just managing and don't necessarily have leaders. And we do have a leadership gap right now in different areas of the world.
Thank you. Another question is, what is the best way to deal with the conflicts within a team?
I
Within a
think
team.
communication. Well, to deal with a conflict, empathy and communication. And what do you think, Petros?
Yeah, I think communication is key to any relationship. And within a team, I think from a leadership perspective, you can't really take sides. You have to be able to maintain the trust of everybody in the team. And if you do, then any decision that's being made will be dealt with acceptance. A lot of people get upset when they don't necessarily have a hearing. People just need to be heard. And that's very, very important. We tend to forget that. But that's very important. And you can dictate something and you can get your way, but eventually it's going to come back and haunt you. But if you have listened, then people will give you the benefit of the doubt as a leader.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank our fantastic guests for this interesting debate and thank everyone for joining us and for your questions. I'd like to remind everyone interested in receiving a certificate of attendance by WeUni that you can click on the link that I am sending in chat right now and request it. Before we say goodbye, I know that you want to share with us a video, so I leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Petros.
Thank you.
Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram account, and I'll show a final video. So you get to know a little bit more about Emmanuel College and international students.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston. Only a train ride away from endless activities.
I feel like Boston is a city where you can just walk and you like discover so many things.
You take the tea, deep breaths, and really just explore.
That's what really made me like, oh, like it's looking around and everybody felt at home.
You can go to Chinatown, you can go to North End, and East Boston has a lot of good Hispanic food. So it's really just depending on what you're looking for. You're able to find different foods from different cultures, and then obviously you can find classic American food here as well.
Boston is just amazing. It's just the best place to be a student in.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston, from the classroom to the field.
I'm a member of the men's cross country and track and field teams.
I go to ukulele club.
I'm the president of the Youth and Government organization here.
So I'm in the e-board of the international club that just opened. We're gonna do a big banquet with like different foods from different countries. I'm gonna cook Italian food, of course.
Black Student Union hosts some of the best events I've ever seen, as well as Huellas, which is a Latin explosion event that happens in the fall.
I really like how there's a club for every day of the week. There's not a day you can like be bored.
I think we host 6.3 events per day on average. So there's always something to do throughout the day.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston, making students feel safe on and off campus.
Especially the area that we're in. It's a very safe area. Down this street, it's all the different colleges of the Fenway, which we're a part of. You'll find that community of college students.
It's great that also Emmanuel has like an actual campus. I'm isolated from like the rest of the city. Emmanuel, thank God, provides us with a way that even if we're outside, we can call them if we feel unsafe. We are taken care of in and out of campus.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston, with its friendly and supportive community.
They're always so like welcoming, respectful. They try to understand your situation, like try to help. But yeah, more than teachers, some of them became like family because they understand me very well.
They get to really know you, not just as a student, but also as a person.
It's a campus where you can feel included and you can feel like you're being heard.
If you want a community that really cares for you and has your back every step of the way, Emmanuel is the spot you want to be.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston. We are surrounded by some of the industry leaders changing the world today.
In terms of an educational experience, I think there's no city like Boston. The businesses, the different sectors, industries that all live in the city.
It creates a lot of opportunities for us to be able to pursue our career interests, pursue life interests. It's just a really wonderful space to be in.
Each student is assigned a career advisor, and they work with you to find different opportunities and to help you boost your resume or write a cover letter. Something that I like about this uni is that they prepare you for the future. The moment you graduate, you already have the experience that many employers are like looking for. College is the best opportunity for you to grow, and Emmanuel is just the best place to grow in.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston.
Emmanuel es el corazón de Boston y Emmanuel es familia.
Emmanuel è accogliente.
Opportunity.
Connection.
Emmanuel çığlıçan araştırma.
Safe.
Pedagogia.
Emmanuel is dynamite.
Refah. Creativity.
Emmanuel is home. We would love to welcome you to our community.
Emmanuel is the heart of Boston.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank again to our speakers, Sarah and Petros, and everyone connected with us today. I hope to see you again in the next webinar organized by WeUni, and bye everyone and have a nice day.